I realise I've been getting on with things without you. That's quite all right. You won't have missed very much. I masked off the edge of this and then painted glue on it. And now I'm going to peel the masking tape off before the glue soaks in and goes on to the other stuff. This is just to keep the gravel off the grass. So we'll see what happens. See if I can do this. It's always a game. And then get it away. Yeah, that's not worked out too badly. So we've come up to the edge of the security fence. The only error, the numpty of the day thing, is that of course this glue I've just wet and then I've got some of that on it, so that will stick, but that's all right. And then I've had to do the second pass of the outside shoulder. So yeah, the other stuff is rock solid, less than 24 hours, so I'm doing well. So this will be ready for me tomorrow. The shirt says I'm never too old to play with trains. Hello again. It's lovely to see you. I've had a haircut since yesterday. What else have I done? Walked the dogs, worked in the garage, lots to do. So it's another one of those days where I've got about an hour, but I figured if I got this done, the gluing, that it would have time to go off while I'm having other things to do. Once again, the temptation is to try and fix the little dent there and mop up the glue. It'll dry, leave it alone. There's some stuff on the runway, even that, don't touch it. And I lifted the barrier just a bit to get it out of the way. Oh, nearly touched it, there was a piece there. I made an exception, but the moment you touch it, something bad will happen. So don't touch it. It's the next day, and I'm always frustrated when I see that because I know exactly what it means. It means I missed a bit with the glue. So let's slurp that and see what it does. Go on, Nunu, do your thing. That's what the airport ended up looking like. I'm okay with this gravel. The gravel always ends up being a little over scale. If I put a person down there, still a bit loose. I need to be careful of that. It would look like the stones were about half the size of a shoe or something. So it's more like cobbles. The effect with the black stuff in there sort of kind of works. I wouldn't do it again in a hurry, but it does look all right. So just for the airport, they've got their own special. And with the building in place, yes. Now, one of the things that does happen is, of course, I've covered up all the holes. I can feel them under there. So I don't know where the wires go, so I've got to push something up from the bottom to disturb that. Could have done a little better around here. I'm not overly worried about it. Everything's been knocked there. Does it still work? Yep. Even falls in the thingy. I do have some work to do down here still. A few circuits still to attach. Fence is going to be my next thing, which is why the building wasn't in place. It is now, just to see does it fit. So fence it is. But before that, a bit of a clear up. So what we have to do now is go along and pick off. I can feel the glue on the rails. So we've got to pick off those little bits. You see that one there? That would derail a train in a heartbeat. So what I end up doing is going along. That's in there good. So we'll start over here and go right round, not jumping around, because if you do, you're going to miss something. So I've now got to go around and scrape, and then I will clean the tops of the rails. We start in there. That's loose. That's easy. They're loose. Vacuum cleaner will get those. That's a track pin. Must be geese on the lawn again. Shadow has taken to barking at the geese when they come and eat the grass. I don't mind her doing that because they tend to go away. They poop all over the place. Very nice to look at, but they do make a mess. I have discovered something or remembered something. I did use those track pins. I was trying to remember where I used them, but I used them up here on this loop because it was very difficult to get the loop to stay in place. Usually I glue them, but I've used a few pins. This board is shorter than the pins are long, and so that I don't skewer myself, I've cut them off. I can just feel the end of it under there. And you remember I've been finding half nails inside locomotives. There's another one there. So I've used a couple of them here. This is 15 years ago. And those bits of metal are now coming home to roost. And as I said that, I felt like saying coming home to rust. Yeah, I'm sorry. So as I move around the layout, I'm not being over... That one is interesting. That was the marker. I can still feel the glue there, of course. There's a little bit there I want to take out, but I'm not being over dig it all up again. Another one there. On the sides, I'm going to leave that, but take the... Can you see what I'm talking about there? On the sleeper's fine, but on the rail not. But you've got to be systematic. I think this is why I don't like doing huge amounts of this stuff at one time, because it is monotonous, and I've only done, I don't know, about a foot. It's interesting, running a finger over it will find things you didn't know were there. That's actually how I found that track pin. I didn't realize I'd used them. The glue just flakes off the sleepers as you run your finger over it, so you end up with these little bits of glue, and I just run the vacuum cleaner over afterwards. There's another one of those pins. Where ballast is completely unforgiving is when you're using third and fourth rail. You get one piece of ballast on top of a sleeper and it pushes that rail up. And I have found the underground trains will let you know in a hurry exactly where that is. Yeah, there's one there. So you always seem to manage to miss one. I feel like a dentist when he's having that deep cleaning thing and says, you need to brush your teeth more. There, you see it. And those will definitely cause a derailment. And you see, there's a good example of the glue. You see the glue flaking up there. So it's not an issue. If you've painted your track, it's an issue, because then the paint comes off with it. But since I don't, or haven't, there's not a problem. Another nasty little clump there, isn't there? You see that? Another place, of course, this is less than desirable, is if you have some oversized flanges that you're trying to run. And you all know that I do. So you absolutely don't want ballast in that zone. And it's difficult to see that side. I will actually just run the camera around and I'll be able to see Well, having run a knife across the top of the rails, we're now going to run a relatively deep flanged carriage along the track, and listen carefully. You hear that? So there's something right there. And sure enough, do you see it? There, I missed one. So the a piece of rolling stock will tell you when you've been a bit unobservant. And with that gone, let's listen again. Said something there. And there is just a little high spot there. That was a join in the rail. That's different. And there it is again. I can hear it ticking. Let's see what, there it is. You see? Where is that one? You hear it? This is right here. It's on this side. Do you see right there? Yeah. Well, that's better. It's funny, with your fingers on the roof of the carriage, you can actually feel it too. There's another one there. This is very interesting. This is the first bit I did. Piece of wire on the track. I'm happy. Now the next job will be to get that retaining wall in place and the fence fitted, and then we'll finish off those connections under the board. I'm just on with the security fence. I'm going to let the hedge take over for there. I can reach that from the other side if not. A couple of things just to note about realism. You see that lovely curve in the chain link? That never happens. It goes straight, straight, straight. So what I've got to do is, when I put that on, actually straighten it out and then bend it. Trying to keep the pieces in as long a piece section as possible. The other thing is just one or two of them are rather short, and we're going to fake that with the by lowering the barbed wire. I cut the pins too short, but dobber glue around the bottom. So you drill a hole all the way through, and I've been using pin vise. It's kind of interesting because this is the same color as the sawdust coming up. I cannot find the holes, so that's been fun. Interesting little thing going on over here. Do you see the discoloring in the grass there? Interesting, isn't it? It doesn't matter. Grass often has those things. I believe what's happened is that the glue has just run over from there, but I can't imagine it's gone that far, but it has. It's very interesting. I thought it was a shadow at first, but I can live with that. There's a backup and a sewage leak, and that is what it is, because the same thing has happened around the front. It might just be that it isn't quite dry yet, but that's what's going on there. Oh, one other thing. Do you remember I pointed out a dollop of glue on top of a bolt that I just wanted to wipe off? Well, that's what it looks like now that it's dried. Just little bit of gravel was underneath that dollop. So a reminder, don't touch it. Even though you really can't see them from the front of the board, I love this little scene back there in the hop field. I do have to do something about that tunnel mouth. That's going to be interesting. Oh, and I've got to find where those holes are for the cables too, haven't I, by pushing something up from the bottom. I could do that now. Somewhere there. There we go. It feels like something out of The Great Escape, doesn't it? Well, all right, Charlie, I think we got it. Now, you saw me just come up through those holes, but can you see it? Really hard to find. So when you take the drill bit out, where's it gone? It's there. Gracious. That's going to be interesting. I've cleared the holes and still can't see them, but here's a little trick. Put a flashlight underneath. That's a torch for you English people. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, that's where they are. And then the one for the fire engine, there it is over there. So that's how I'm going to find those holes later, but you can't see them. That's for the cables, of course. I'm off to walk the dogs and have a spot of lunch, and I'll be back to finish off this end of the board sometime this afternoon. See you later. Just been cleaning, lubricating and putting this thing back together. I haven't over-oiled it. It looks like I have, honestly. You could say nasty plastic bearings or lack of any bearings. You could say all kinds of nasty things about this little bug. But I will say one thing. They are remarkably reliable. Somebody's actually thought about the design. It's cheap and cheerful, I'll give you that. But these do work. I'm guessing as a spare part they'd be available. You could build all sorts of things around that, couldn't you? I did look at it for the tram, which is why I knew about it. But yeah, so long as you're not running it 10 hours a day or something. But the bubble car it's from has been very reliable. Cheap model, but what do you expect? So yeah, let me get these wires back on. And yeah, I've got some work to sort out too. This one's come with a dodgy microphone connector. Usually what happens is that they get corroded and so need a bit of a clean, or one of the pins comes detached from the board. But that's not for this channel. Sorry, you don't need to see me fixing industrial radio mics now, do you? But on the same bench as toy trains. This is far more interesting. Is it Daisy? It's back together. I'm sure it'll be fine. Well, it won't be fine because I've left the chip out. Look at that. Every now and again I get a numpty award. That's today's. The chip's sitting out on the desk. That's because I was going to change it because it was running away on me. But we're just going to open it up and pop it back. Do you ever remember hearing me say, do it once, do it right? You see, now what I've done is I've pulled a wire off. That'll be from pin 3. I'm not going to solder it there, but it does mean I've got to take it all apart again. Double numpty award. Stuff happens. I suppose it does give me a chance to show you little design things that somebody's actually thought about. That post there has a shoulder on it so that when you put the screw in the top, it can use one of those washer screws that goes down flush, so you can't over tighten it easily. I love that kind of design. It means somebody has actually taken the time to think about it, even though it's what we would call a cheap junk bogey. But nevertheless, yeah, well designed cheap junk with a few passengers sitting there waiting for the off. And the driver saying, what are we waiting for? This is one of those situations I wish I had a proper chip for it that just sat straight in there. I don't. So you've got all this mess there. May just put a piece of something over that to tidy it up. Well, there we go, just a bit of heat shrink sleeving. I'm not going to shrink it down, of course, that's just there to hold everything in place and all the wires are bundled in the back there. That should be just fine. Wish these blue wires were black, but they're not. With this particular series of models, it's very easy to forget to pull the exhaust pipes out. I have remembered, but they just pull out, and then when you push them back into that little hole there, they'll spring back against the buffer beam. But if you do forget, you're going to bend them up terribly when you shove the chassis back on. Another thing I really like about this kind of model, they're all held together with these great big screws. There's just two of these stuck in the bottom. No need for cocktail sticks, or in my case, hotel keys, or whatever you choose to use to get those wretched clips undone. You just pop the screws in, and they're big enough to use your fingers. So ideal. I did notice I've got one of the bogies in backwards. You remember I cut the hooks off. You could have just popped the bogie frame off and cut them off. I did them in situ, but that's now at the back. Oh well. There we are, finally ready to roll again. I'm sure it will. We'll give it a go later if I get the trains running. Did you hear that? If. Well, the if is because I've got to work on one of these things for a few minutes. Yeah, that's tight. You don't need to watch me do this, I'm sure, but it's the same procedures really as working on toy trains. Once you've seen one, there's variations on a theme, but the theme is pretty much the same. I hadn't realized that I'm in almost a better position to work on this stuff in the train room as I am in my workshop. But I like it down here better, is the thing. Some decent tools would be nice. Let me get my real tools. Well, I know it's not model trains, but it'll same kind of idea. So that little plug pops out there. These wires go to there. Bing, bing, bing. Little screw undoes the collar there. And then one screw, take it out, put it back, a new one back in, and off you go. It should be a 10-minute job. That's it. However, I ordered the part, it came. It's been sitting on my shelf for a little while in a little box, an expensive looking box. And I opened the box today to pull it out, and guess what? The box is empty. So yes, frustrating. Just to prove it happens in other industries too. It's not just the toy train world. A couple of interesting things while we're in here though. Do you see this multi-pin plug there with rows of connectors either side? Imagine getting that wrong. And the corresponding plug, that's it there. You see that? Amazing, isn't it? Same kind of idea here with the connector. These just push in and snap in. That's another red, orange, black. I think they ran out of colours. Everything they use is red, orange, black in different combinations. Different kind of plug, so I can't get it wrong. Yeah, so just to show you, I thought you'd be interested in what I do some of the other time. But now I'm annoyed. I shall put it in a Ziploc bag, put it away, and order another part. In the meantime, good excuse to get some trains running. Once again, I have succeeded in painting myself into a corner. Security fence around there. You'll notice kinks in it there. These are intentional to stop it just curving. You don't want this kind of fence to curve. It creates a curve in straight lines because it goes between the poles. I think I mentioned that before. Same technique as before. I've got just one spring left. This is just wire wrapped around a screwdriver and stretched. We've done this before in the video. Busily making more panels, but I don't want to be reaching over the glue. Retaining wall. Oh, come on, it's better than that. Actually, I'm not happy because I've used that, finally found a use for that horrible stuff, and it's not sticking all that well. Of course it isn't, Ian. Don't touch it. I've got the coarse turf everywhere. I just want a little bit at the bottom of the wall. So I've now got to wait until that dries before I can run the vacuum cleaner around again. So no trains again. I can't even put the radar, I've laid it down over there. I can't even put that in because I don't want to be reaching over it. So I'm a little bit stuck. Of course I got that microphone working. I took the socket apart, but I will have to replace it. You can't, it's not like a toy train where you can just make it work and know it'll be fine. When that's going on a TV show, it's got to be right. So, yes, they'll have to wait. I suppose I could paint that up. This is, it would need to be brown, wouldn't it? Some of the rail I stripped up to get the sleepers, and I've kept a few lengths. That just lying around would be a good thing, but it does need painting. Why don't I do that? That will give me something to do for a few minutes. I'm not going to do that tonight. A little bit of a funny video, bits and pieces. I know. We'll get some trains running, I promise, in the next one. So I've got some work to do, haven't I? I've got to get this track unburied. More and more stuff appearing here. I can clean, that's something I can do. I can clean that up tonight. All right, clean up it is. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.